I call the Board of Zoning, this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals meeting to order. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Will the clerk please call roll?
Kane,
Here.
Grotman, Weaver,
Here.
Toth,
Here.
Masterson,
Here.
Council Liaison Winkle,
Winkle.
Here.
Chief Building Official Ferdson, Assistant Law Director Morgan, Planning and Development Director Lieber.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to review the meeting minutes from April 24th, 2025? Anybody have any comments? I make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Mr. Toth, do you have a Planning Commission report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The North Ridgeville Planning Commission took action on the following items at their regular meeting of May 13th, 2025. Under Old Business, PPZ 2025-0337, Victory Park, 7777 Victory Lane, PPN 0700003102-106. Owner PMJ Park Holdings, 7777 Victory Lane, North Ridgeville, Ohio 44039. Proposal consists of lighting plan for the sports park. Property is zoned I-2 Light Industrial District. PC action, approved by a vote of 5-0 with the following condition. 1. Submit a new photometric taking into account both proposed lighting and existing light sources. Under new business, PPZ 2024-0299, Hampton Place Subdivision Phase 8, PPN 07-00029-000-203 through 515. Owner, Valori Properties, 23550 Center Ridge Road, number 101, Westlake, Ohio 44145. Proposal consists of final development of plat approval for Hampton Place Subdivision Phase 8. Property is zoned R1 Residence District. PC action, approved by a vote of 5-0 with the following conditions. 1. Further investigation of the unclassified pipe on SR 83 and a resolution that is acceptable to engineering. 2. Finish the construction of the concrete roadway. 3. A financial guarantee will be provided equal to the cost of all remaining items not constructed to the satisfaction of engineering. Note, all conditions must be fulfilled before the plat is signed and executed. Also under new business, PPZ 2024-0308, Circle K 34273 Lorraine Road, PPN 070014106012. Applicant Brent Lamb, Circle K Stores, 935 East Talmadge Avenue, Akron, Ohio 44310. Owner AGLR Investments, LLC, 36097 Westminster Avenue, North Ridgeville, Ohio 44039. Proposal consists of a new Circle K gas station and a retail store. Property zone B3 Highway Commercial District. PC action, approved by a vote of 5-0. And this concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Are there any other reports or correspondence? Hearing none, we'll go to the public hearings. Would you please read the agenda item?
PPZ 2025-0342, Kevin Callahan, 6149 Darrow Road, permanent parcel number 07-00029-000-563. Proposal consists of constructing an outbuilding, property zone R1 Resident District. Request, number 1, a 3-foot 9-inch variance for side setback of an outbuilding. Code requires 5 feet. Applicant shows 1 foot 3 inches, section 1294.03A. And number 2, a 3 3-foot 6-inch variance for rear setback of an outbuilding. Code requires 5 feet. Applicant shows 1 foot 6 inches. Section 1294.03A.
Okay, would the applicant please come to the podium so that we can swear you in? Will you please state your name and address?
It's Kevin Callahan, 6149 Doyle Drive, North Ridgeville, 4039.
Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before the Zoning and Building Board of Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury? Okay. Ms. Lieber?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The applicant's proposing to install a new 80-square-foot shed in the rear yard. As you know, outbuildings must be set back a minimum of 5 feet from both side and rear lot lines. In this case, the shed is shown 1 foot 3 inches from the side lot line and 1 foot 6 inches from the rear lot line. So there are 2 separate variances in this case. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to please tell us what your hardship is?
Yeah, my hardship, my sister was here last month for Rosebud, whatever, and some of the concerns that you guys had voiced were, why can't I put it somewhere else in my lot? Somebody had mentioned the back of my house.
I did, sir.
That was you? Okay.
Yeah.
I brought a picture of the back of my house, which I brought copies for everybody if you want, but I can approach and give you
Yes,
guys-
please.
I'm sorry?
Yes, please.
Okay. Plus, I'm going to be putting a deck on the back of the house.
Okay.
eventually as well. So ultimately, what I'm trying to do is just to put this thing in the back far corner of my house. It's gonna be a temporary thing essentially. It's gonna be placed on 4x4s, and with a little bit of stone around the edge of it. My fence is there already, and I won't have to maintain that section of fence. Behind my house is an easement, which I can get to. My fence has slots in it, so it's not a wood fence where I couldn't even get back there anyways if I wanted to pull weeds or whatever, or spray Roundup or whatever the case might be. My backyard isn't particularly big to begin with, so if I go 5 feet off, it's just gonna kind of look like, it's gonna look stupid quite frankly. It's gonna be in the middle of my backyard. So I'm trying to make most of the backyard that I do have. I have talked to my neighbors, my one neighbor on that side of my house, and he has absolutely no problem with it. There's gonna be no electrical, no plumbing. It is strictly, to get my lawnmower and, snow blower and stuff out of my garage so I can actually use my garage. Ryan builds the houses and they're so, garages are so small, you can't even do anything in these garages. I'm very unhappy with the garage, but that is the goal of being able to put this thing up, and it's something, like I said, it's temporary. So if ever I sell the house, I can, the new owner can take it down with no problems, no cement pad or anything.
Okay, well, first off, if you're here in front of us, it isn't temporary. We're giving you something, a permanent variance, if we do approve it. So while you're using the word temporary, it isn't temporary. That doesn't go with, just so you understand. So what we do is we look at something from the standpoint of practical difficulties. So while the shed itself is modest in size, the request is relative to the standard is significant. So you're asking, instead of it being 5 foot off the property line, you want to put it 1 foot off the property line. I can understand why you say you can't put it on the back of the house. It is 8 by 10. Is there a reason you can't put it on the side of the house?
Not enough room on the side of the house.
All right. How long have you owned the house?
About a year and a half.
Okay. So the the reviewing of the Duncan factors are, will the essential character of the neighborhood substantially be altered, or will adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance? Setbacks exist to provide spacing and separation of structures from property lines. Property setback ensures that an owner can maintain the accessory structure from within their own property. Like you stated, it does still give you 1 foot off the property line. Did the property owner purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction? The setback requirements have been in place prior to the construction of the subdivision. Can the property owner's predicament be precluded through some other method other than a variance? It is possible to place the shed in a location that meets the requirement, but as you stated, it would put it in the middle of the backyard. Last, would the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirements be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance? The answer is the applicant has provided no information in support of the request addressing the standards of approval or rationale for the request.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just want to point out in that report, it was without the benefit of having the owner's letter that it accompanied, because I didn't receive that page. So I just want to point out that they did provide some context in the letter. That said, I heard you state, and I agree that, variances run with the land. So any variance granted for this structure would carry into the future. It would not be temporary. Even if the structure is movable, then a structure could be built in that location, like a more permanent structure with a foundation and with electric and plumbing and all those things. Thank you.
Okay. So that's basically what I said in the beginning when he stated that it would be temporary. And I'm just reiterating that so we're both agreeing that it is, okay. So thank you. We both agree on that. Okay. Does any of the board members have any comments, questions?
I guess my concern is just taking care of the land that's between the fence line and the shed. Doesn't allow for much room for taking care of any overgrowth or weeds or anything. So that's one of my concerns, is it's really quite close to the fence. And, kind of getting back there with a lawnmower or Roundup or something, to take care of the overgrowth. That's my concern.
Mr. Toe?
Yes, I second Mr. Weaver's concerns. Thank you.
Can I address that?
Sure.
I have dug out so far, and I can actually get back there at the foot mark. And again, I just want to stress, I'm gonna have stone and or mulch around there, so we're not talking about overgrowth of, 3, 4, 5 feet. We're just talking weeds when you get in there, but I have literally, I'm not the smallest guy in the world, as you can see, but I can get back there. Plus, I have the easement behind my fence on the back of it. So getting back there wouldn't be intruding on my neighbors or anything like that whatsoever.
My areas of concern is just, I understand that you have a smaller lot, and I understand that you have a smaller garage and a small driveway. However, you just recently purchased, you knew what you were buying when you bought the property. So it's not as if you didn't know what you were buying.
I had no idea that I wasn't gonna be able to, I had no thought when this is the first time I ever built a house, but I really had no thought about the garage being too small when you get in. Even with the stuff out of the garage, I don't know if you guys have been in those, but you're opening a car door, you're hitting the other car door. I mean, these garages are exceptionally small. I truly had no idea it was gonna be that. So then you throw in, you have lawnmowers and all the other garden tools and those sorts of things. It is
And it's not as if we're not allowing you to put a shed in the backyard. It's just we're not allowing you to put a shed where you want to put it.
I guess my, so
I'm asking for practical difficulties. So,
how is it impractical, I guess, would be my question, if it's gonna be a foot and then a few inches off the line. And as I addressed in my letter, it's not impeding with any kind of delivery services or anything whatsoever like that at all. If I wanted to make that I understand you guys are considering it a permanent, I have no dispute on that, but even if I wanted to make it a permanent and put a pad back there and put electric, I would be right back here again, getting permits and those sorts of things.
so no disrespect.
No, no, not at all.
Okay. The house that I own now is not the first house that I've owned. I knew when I purchased my house that I had a house with a yard and I was going to need a lawnmower and things like that. I knew that I was going to have a car. I was going to have 2 cars. When I bought my house, I had an adult son who lived in our home. So I knew that there were going to be 3 cars. So plus having an adult son came with debris. Okay, with a lot of debris. So I knew that there was going to be things in the garage. So I'm just saying, as an adult, these are things that you plan for. So is this the first house you ever owned?
It is the first house that I own with this type of garage, yeah.
Okay.
When I was in Cleveland, I had a single car garage, and then that was it, but.
Okay. I'm just saying that it's not as if we're not allowing you to put a shed. You're allowed to put a shed. It's just not putting a shed where you want to put it.
But the concerns that the board had, was maintenance behind and on the side of the shed, which I addressed. Putting it in another place, which is what I addressed, and I think those are the only 2 issues if I recall. So, my comment would be is, what is the harm?
Okay, so you're asking, so the rules require a 5-foot setback. You're asking for 1-foot setback. So you're asking for, instead of having,
Variance of 3 something, yeah.
you're asking for a 4-foot setback. You're asking for us, instead of giving you, you're asking for a 3-foot, 4-foot variance.
Give or take, right?
So that's a substantial variance. It's not a minimal variance. So you're asking for 2 substantial variances. You're not asking for minimal variances.
I guess my question would be, other than just saying no, what is the actual harm of putting it? Unless you guys are thinking long-term, dealing with other residents or something along those lines.
So,
I'm just not following you, but.
okay, so how about this? How about I explain to you a conversation that I was having with Nick earlier. So I've been on this board for close to 25 years. So whatever variance, and this is something that Kim was explaining to you as well. So anything, you're not going to own this house forever. You're eventually not going to own the house. So I buy a piece of property and I decide that I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to leave, somebody else is going to buy that property, and I decide that in this shed, I'm going to move my mother-in-law into it. You've been granted permission to have it there. Now I can put electric in there, I can put plumbing in there, and I can move my mother-in-law in there. Thank God my mother-in-law has passed, and she wouldn't be very happy living in there. See, there's nothing that stops me from doing that.
There is, and you would have to get permits to get the plumbing and the electrical and everything else.
Well, you asked why I would not, so I'm giving you a hypothetical question.
Right. But that's also my point too, that if any other adjustments needed to be made, they would have to go
What you have to do is prove practical, why can't you put this structure somewhere else? What is your hardship? Why can't you put it somewhere else?
My hardship is I don't want it in the center of my backyard.
You just don't want it there.
I mean, yeah, because it's.
What's the hardship?
The hardship is I have a smaller backyard to begin with, and I'm trying to put this off the side so I can enjoy and put when I put a patio in, so then you're gonna have a patio, and I'm gonna have a deck or a shed near the patio part of it, when I can have it over to the corner, over to the corner and out of the way where I can meet full access of
Okay,
my backyard.
okay. All right. Does any of the board members have any other comments, questions, or concerns?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair, through the chair. Sir, perhaps this might clarify, at least in my mind, what's going here, is that if we grant this variance, okay, the next owner of that property can erect a permanent structure there with plumbing, with wiring, without approaching this board once again. They need permits, yes, but the variance will have been granted. So while your structure is temporary in nature, someone
his
else would be permitted to be able to put a permanent structure at that location. Now, your neighbor right now has no issue with it. You know, state it's temporary, but we need to look at, this rides with the property, okay? And permits for electrical or plumbing will not affect anything if the variance is in place. So with that in mind, being just a foot and a couple of inches off the property line, a small mower is 20 inches, okay? A small lawnmower, so that's 1'8". Okay, so I'm not sure how you could even mow the lawn behind that without going over your property line. So at this time, okay, so that's my comments on it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So, Tony, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Or, I'm sorry, Kim. I'm looking at you and Tony's, the name tag is right in front of your face. I apologize, Kim.
No problem. You know, I hear some of the concerns of the board about, you know, variances that run with the land, and I know we've also just had the conversation about, you know, looking at the factors that are unique to that lot, so as not to make a decision that sets precedent for all other such properties. So I kind of hear different angles of what the board is struggling with, and it seems like that could be a potential concern. It's just that this scenario might not be of concern, but does this create a situation where all owners of similarly sized lots would make that same request? So I think that's the precedent-setting part that the board wishes to avoid typically.
All right, I'm going to have you have a seat, and we're going to have deliberations. Okay, so Ms. Morgan always asks us to split the variances, so I'm just going to have conversations just to clarify things in my mind. So at any point in time, we're going to take the first one into consideration, then I'll hear a motion. Is the variance substantial? In my mind, I do think that while the shed is small in size, I do think that the variance is substantial in its request. Do I think the essential character of the neighborhood will substantially be altered? In my mind, I do think that it will, because the setback is, I think the setback is a substantial amount. Will the variance adversely affect the delivery of governmental services? While it's not on an easement, that doesn't, it's not impactful. Did the property owner purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions? They were in place prior to the construction of the subdivision. Can the property owner's predicament be precluded through some method other than a variance? Yes, it can be located in a different place. Would the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance? The applicant has provided no information in support of their request addressing the standards or approval of rationale for the request. Well, the letter was very nice. We cannot, sadly, address this as a temporary structure. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the rear setback variance.
Okay, just understand that this is for a denial. Do we have a second?
Second.
Well, this is a denial.
Deny.
Okay. Will the clerk please take roll?
Kane,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna take a roll for the second variance, and my comments stand for the second variance as they did for the first.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the side setback as well.
Chair is
Second.
Thank you. Will
Ka-
the- please-
Kane, Kane,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Masterson.
Yes.
The motion for denial passes.
Okay, thank you very much. Very sorry, sir.
Mr. Conley, you have a moment after meeting.
I'm sorry?
After meeting, you have a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Guys, almost done?
Yes, and if there is nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.